This is the fourth video covering your Alif Ba vocabulary, or your Alif Ba textbook vocabulary to help you memorize your vocabulary for your Arabic 131 course. This video will need to be broken into two parts because there's a lot to cover. And so let's get started. Al-Mufradat lid-dars arba, so the vocabulary for lesson 4. Now we're going to start, even though your vocabulary list doesn't include the numbers in Arabic that are used by Arabs, we're going to cover them here because this Unit 4 covers the numbers. Now you'll notice there are two different types of numerals here, numbers. There's a top set here that is maybe unfamiliar to you. These were invented by the Indians. So India's ancestors produced these. And then the set of numbers underneath that you're familiar with as an English language learner, these are actually the numbers that were produced by the Arabs. Now, the Arabs will use both of these sets of numbers. So you'll need to know how to recognize both of these sets of numbers. And then up top here, what we have is the way you say it in Arabic, al-arqam al-arabiya, al-arqam al-arabiya. These are the numbers, the Arabic ones. Now, in Arabic, we have our adjectives, they come after the nouns that they modify. So, unlike in English, the adjectives come first and then the noun. In Arabic, we say the noun first, the numbers, and then we'll say the adjective about that noun, describing that noun. In this case, the Arabic ones, right? Al-arqam al-arabiya. And then you have the English transliterations underneath each of these numbers. But we're going to go to the next set of slides, which will give you the Arabic script, which is what we need you to be familiar with, right? So, and we're also going to focus only on these Indian numerals because those are the ones you're less familiar with. So, first slide here, this dot or this period looking thing that floats about halfway above the ruled line on the paper is, so it doesn't rest on the ruled line, but it floats midway in up above the ruled line. This is your zero. So this dot period looking thing that floats is a zero. It's sifr, 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 sifr. This is zero, sifr. Now this straight up and down line, it doesn't need to be curved. This is just a stylistic rendering. This is your number one, so it's very similar to your number one in your Arabic numerals, this Indian numeral. You say this in Arabic, wahid, that's how we pronounce it. Wahid, wahid, wahid. Now, starting with number one, you have feminine and masculine forms of these numbers, but for the purposes of this course, at least the first semester, you will only be focused on your masculine versions of these numbers. So this is wahid, wahid, wahid. Um, this next number here that looks like a 2 that's standing on its side, on its tail, this is ithnain, ithnain. You might also hear it as ithnan, ithnan. So ithnain, ithnain, ithnan, ithnan. Now, this Indian numeral here, that is a 3 that has a tail added to it that's sort of standing on its side here, or you can think of it as a different way, whatever helps you memorize it. This is ثلاثة, 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 ثلاثة. Now, you might notice there's a tamarbuta at the end of this, and you might say, well, why does it have a tamarbuta? I thought we were only covering the masculine versions of these numbers. And with the number, we flip the script. We turn the tables. We add tamarbutas to make them masculine. We remove them to make them feminine. So remember, this language is a patterned language, but we break the rules sometimes, or we flip-flop the rules sometimes. So this is thalatha. This is the masculine 3. Now, this backwards looking 3 here, this is the number 4, right? This Indian numeral, it's arba, 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 arba. This 0 looking thing, it's slightly smaller than a 0. It might float a little bit above the ruled line. This is khamsa, khamsa, it's the number 5. Khamsa, khamsa, khamsa. Khamsa. This seven looking thing that's a little bit curved, this is the number six. So be careful there. Looks like a seven, it's the number six. It's an Indian numeral. Sitta, 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 right? And then this V looking valley, this is the number seven. V looking valley, it's the number seven. It's Seba, 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 Seba. This peak, mountain peak, or upside down V, this peak looking thing, this is the Thamania, the number eight. Thamania, 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 Thamania. And this nine looking character is actually a nine. It's Tisa, 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 Tisa. It's a soft H at the end of these. Tisa, Tisa, Tisa. And just like in English, we don't say one and zero when we talk about 10. We have a separate name for it. It's Ashra, 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 Ashra. All right, so let's launch into our actual vocabulary list. Now, how would you say in a polite way, you please, go ahead, you're preferred, if you please, no, after you, like you you want someone to go ahead of you. Maybe you're holding the door open for them, or you want them to go first because it's an honor, you're trying to honor them. Um, you're going to use these terms here. There's a male form, there's a female form, and then there's a form when you're addressing an entire group. And these words are actually imperative form. They're the command form of these verbs. So this is a verb. This is one verb, and it's conjugated. It's conjugated for the imperative, for the command conjugation. Right? You're telling someone. I know this is polite, but you're being aggressive about your politeness, right? So for males, if you're talking to a male, you're going to say tafaddal, tafaddal, please, you first. Go ahead, you're preferred. You benefit. Tafaddal, tafaddal. If you're talking to a woman, you're gonna add an ending to that. You're gonna add an e to that ending. So instead of saying tafaddal, you're gonna say tafaddali, 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 tafaddali. And if you're talking to an entire group, you're going to say, instead of the E at the end of it, you're going to say ooh at the end of it. Ooh, ooh. So you're going to say tafaddalu, tafaddalu, tafaddalu. Now you see there's an Alif at the end of this. That's a silent Aleph. You are not going to pronounce that. You will write that if you need to. If you need to write this conjugation, you will write that Aleph, but you don't pronounce it. It's silent. So this is tafaddalu, tafaddalu when you're talking to a group of people, right? So tafaddal, tafaddali, and tafaddalu, right? And this is a measure five verb, a form five verb. Arabic is a triliteral system of most every word is derived from a three-letter root. And when we increase the form or measure of the verb, we add letters to that three-letter root. So this is a measure five. We've added two additional letters. We'll learn about that more later. Now, we talked about girlfriends and boyfriends and darlings and dears, but the one of the words that you'll see that's very popular for a friend is sahib, sahib, sahib. Now, sahib is a male friend, and this is all about platonic relationships, right? Not romantic. And then a sahiba, 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 sahiba. That's a girl, a friend that's a female, right? And remember, in Arabic, we're gonna talk about somebody as if they belong to you. That's the appropriate way to talk about them. You're gonna say, "It's my friend," right? So you're not just gonna say sahib. You're gonna say sahibi. You're gonna add that possessive suffix to it to say, "This is my friend." For a guy, for a male friend, if you're gonna say it's your girlfriend, it's sahibati, 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 sahibati. And then we have the plural forms here, right? Ashab becomes ashabi, ashabi. That's for a co-ed group or male only of friends. And then the females only of group of friends, صاحبات, 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 صاحبات. And then you're going to make it personal. You're going to say they belong to you. صاحباتي, صاحباتي, right? Now, we talked about the word you as a subject that stands alone as the subject of a sentence, right? We said anta and anti mean you, and that's the subject of a sentence. But we haven't talked about he and she yet as the subject of a sentence. Well, if you want to say he, you're going to say huwa. هو جيد هو جيد هو طيب هو طيب هو بخير, right? He is something, right? What about she? Well, for she, you're going to say هي 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 جيدة. You're going to use feminine adjectives to describe she. You're going to say هي جيدة هي طيبة هي, and then بخير is just with goodness, so you don't need to make it feminine, right? هي بخير هي بخير, that's she, right? Now, going back to our non-standalone subject pronouns, going back to our possessive pronouns that are endings or suffixes, or our object pronouns that are endings or suffixes to words. Remember, when we add e, that means mine or my. So ismi means name of mine or my name. And then if you use ka at the end of your word, it means you as an object or your as something belonging to, right? So ismuka is name of yours, right? Name of yours. Ki, ki is our ending that means something is happening to you, you're the object, or it's yours and you're feminine, right? Ki is feminine, yours. So ismu ki is name of yours, feminine, right? But the ones that you haven't been introduced to yet, here they are, right? If you want to say his or him or hers or her, right? You're going to use these endings, right? You're going to use who, or ha, who for his or him, and then ha for her or hers. So ismuhu is name of his. Ismuhu is name of his. Ismuha, ismuha is name of hers. Name of hers. Ismuha, name of hers. Ismuhu, name of his. How would I say student in Arabic? So you're going to say talib for a male student, talib, talib. For a female student, you're going to say taliba, taliba, taliba. Then the plural forms of these for a co-ed group or male only, طلاب, طلاب, طلاب. And for female only group, it's طالبات, طالبات, طالبات. We talked about students. What about professors and teachers? Well, for a male teacher, we would say, or professor, excuse me, male professor, we would say, ustad, ustad, ustad. For a female professor, we would say, ustada, ustada, ustada. For the co-ed group of professors, we would say, الساتذة الساتذة الساتذة. For a female only group of professors, أستاذات أستاذات أستاذات. For teachers, a male teacher, مدرس مدرس مدرس. For a female teacher, مدرسة مدرسة مدرسة. For a group of co-ed teachers, mudarrisun, mudarrisun, mudarrisun. And for a group of female-only teachers, mudarrisat, mudarrisat, mudarrisat. And how would you say university? You would say jamia, jamia. In Egyptian, you would hear gamia, but the plural form of jamia is jamiat, jamiat. We will do part